Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Felsbrunn Farm, and we are on another contract. We need a little bit more cash. We don't quite have enough at the moment. We're on 96,761 and we need a little bit more than that because the tractor I'm looking at getting is the case, which is going to cost me 98,000, and we also need to have a little bit of cash to be able to lease a lime spreader as well. So we need to take this contract on to give us that extra little bit of cash that we need. A job is to harvest field 12, which I think is the biggest field in the game actually on this map. Yeah, pretty much field 12 here. This is our target field. So barley, we're going to be harvesting that, and then we're going to be delivering that. Where are we delivering that to? Let's have a look. To the train station mill. So that's our delivery point. Let's just detach the header. There we go. We can turn the beacons off now. For this job we've been given the CR1090. There we go. Fold the header up. And we've also been given a Tatra 6x6 with a cramper tipper as well. So some really good sized equipment to get this job done. We're probably going to have to make more than one delivery run with this particular tractor, or this particular trailer, as I should say. Ooh, we are throwing out a big pile of straw there. I want to turn straw swathing off. There we go. We seem to be struggling. To actually move at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's causing that. Let's try this again. Maybe it's the gradient. Maybe the header is pushing down into the ground too much. I forget we do have the ground response mod in this, as well as crop destruction. Yeah, we have the ground response and the tire dirt mods as part of the full reel package. It's now incorporated, and I'm wondering if the ground deformation is causing too much of a problem for this header. Why are we not able to move? This is a bit odd. There we go, we're finally starting to get a bit of movement. Ah, haha, we're off. So, a very strange little kind of divot, I think, in the field just there, preventing us from getting going initially, but we managed to overcome it. I want to kind of do a border around the field. And then we'll run up and down the field in that direction, like that. I think is going to be the easiest way. It's going to help minimise the impact of these hills as well. Obviously very steep just there. So if we run on a 90-degree angle to where we're going at the moment, that should sort that out and make that a little bit smoother for us. And we'll be jumping back to the farm in just a second so we can get our workers started on our second field. The first one should be finished ploughed now. We did see a little notification pop up there to say worker had finished his task, so we'll double check on that in just a second. And of course we don't have any issues with contracts like we used to, where if you stepped away for more than 10 seconds you automatically failed, or you had a time limit, so you were always rushing to get it done as fast as possible to get a really big time bonus. None of those things apply anymore, so you know, we can take our time with this harvesting contract. We don't have to rush it out right now. We can simply do a little bit now and then stop, and then go back and do a bit more, and so on and so forth, when as the need takes us. So let's just line up here for a second, okay, and let's jump back to the farm. So actually we want the Where is it? There we go. So are we fully done? Looks like we've got a few little notches on the end of the field there. Is that going to be an issue? Let's take a look. There you can see, look, there's little blotches on the edge of the field there. Is that going to cause a problem in terms of ploughed status? Yeah, it is. Look, we've got a little red line just there. And don't forget, if we toggle that off, you can see that field 1 also needs lime as well. So actually, let me take the fertilizing off as well. Yeah, it's just field 1. Field 3 will be the next parcel of land that we'll be looking to move into. But we're going to need, I think, about 300,000 to be able to buy that piece of land. Because it does contain one of the sell points, I think. That shouldn't stop us from being able to use it, but it might change how much money we get if we own that sell point. Let's have a look. It's a sawmill, actually, so let's see. I want to turn the plough. There we go. Zoom in a bit. I'm just going to run a line across the bottom here. Like so. And we can do one along the other edge a little bit later. But I want to get this worker kind of up and running. There we go. Turn the plough. I want to get the worker up and running on this field and get this ploughed in. I'm curious to see as well, because I haven't had this crop up yet, but I'm curious to see if this will give us the fertilizer stage as a bonus like it did in Farming Sim 17 by ploughing in a growing crop or an existing crop. Let's let it run for a second and let's take a look. If I take off the need to plough and the need for lime. No, it's not, look. It is not giving us that fertilizer stage for ploughing in an existing crop. So, whereas on 17 we could kind of buy a field and whatever was on it, we could plough it in, get a free stage of fertilizer. Does not appear to be the case this time around. Useful information there. So, let's get back onto our contract. Now that our worker is up and running. I was going to show you that tractor I was looking at, wasn't I? It's this, the 7200 Pro from Case IH. 98,000. The engine has a 170 horsepower rating and lots of wheel options as well, including narrows. Makes it very, very versatile. I would have liked to have had the Fent 500, but unfortunately it's just not powerful enough. It can only go up, even with an uprate, can only go up to 150 horsepower. And both our seeder and our plough both need 180 horsepower. So yeah, not the best option, unfortunately. Although we could, I suppose, yeah, the whole point was to maybe try and do some, some seeding while we were also ploughing. So I don't know. I might possibly go for the Fent after all, but I'd still want that extra cash because, as I say, we do still need to lease a bridle spreader so that we can put lime down on field 1, and we also have to pay for the lime as well. It's not horrendously expensive at $450, 450 euros for a pallet, and each pallet holds 2,000 litres, but you will go through it very quickly indeed. So we'll need multiple pallets. It'll all add up, Better safe than sorry. So we've got a nice, good-sized job here to keep us going for a little while, and we'll bring in about 9 grand as the payoff, and then hopefully we'll actually get some bonus cash for making the delivery of grain like we did last time as well. So potentially 10 to 11,000 on this job, maybe even more if we're really lucky. again, just looking at my full fill level. I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way across here. I might do, I might not. I guess we'll find out as we make our way across. Just kind of pootling away, making some decent progress on this field. I have been asked why I haven't done map tours for the new maps. Well, a couple of reasons really. One, I don't really think map tours are needed for the 2 base game maps, because that's all there is to play really, apart from the recently released mod of Estancia El Pacho, which everybody already knows anyway from Farming Sim 17. Plus, you know, it's a bit tricky to kind of do a map tour on a map that everybody has already kind of seen a lot of various different footage from a lot of various different places. It seemed overkill to throw my own map tour in there as well, on top of all of those videos out there that already have, you know, a lot of footage of the map. So I kind of decided it wasn't really worth it in terms of creating a video on that, especially seeing as I'm going to be running series on both of these maps anyway. It just kind of seemed a little overkill really on my part, you know, to throw another map tour out there for these 2 maps, you know, both Felsbrunn and Ravenport. That's not to say that we won't be doing map tours going forward when we get new mod maps. I will very much definitely be doing map tours on those. Those will be much more of a necessity, I think, than the 2 base game maps that came on the base game itself. So fear not. You know, it's not a case of I've decided not to do tours from now on. It's just I decided it wasn't really the main requisite or prerequisite for, you know, for these 2 new maps on the base game, because everyone's going to be out there and looking at them anyway. So rather than kind of rush something out in an attempt to get a tour up nice and early, and I'd rather spend that time getting started on putting together a decent series for you guys. You know, I felt that would perhaps be a more sensible way for me to go. As the sun's starting to set in the distance, again you can see how the lighting changes and how the shadows draw in around the vehicle. It just feels a lot darker from this particular angle. And obviously we turn around, we see the sun there. We are really struggling for traction on this field, and I don't know why. What is it about this field that's causing us to really struggle? It's very odd. Barely scraping through at 3 miles an hour here. It can't just be the fact that we're on a gradient. It's got to be something to do with the shape of the hill, perhaps. There we go, we're starting to clear the obstruction, whatever it was, and we're moving again. That's very odd. But yeah, I mean, just a slight pan, and you can see how the darkness kind of spreads around to the right-hand side there. You can see a lot of shade on those trees there, a lot of shadow. And again, swinging around to this side with the sun on the other side of the vehicle really does create a lot of contrast between light and dark. It's very, very different to what we're used to seeing. I'm not 100% convinced by it yet. I'm not sure how well that's going to translate across the screen. We'll have to see, I suppose, once the footage goes up and goes live, to see just how that comes across in terms of gameplay. It might be something I need to be wary of going forward. Again, straight away you can see how it makes it quite hard to see. And this is a very bright vehicle as well, so you can imagine something like the Agco Ideal, which is black. You can imagine how that's just going to absorb all the detail, and it's not going to be able to make anything out at all from certain camera angles. you know, the new lighting engine is impressive, but it is going to create a few issues going forward. That I am pretty much aware of, and I'm pretty much sure of. There we go. Let's see how much of this... Oop. There we go. Just trying to see how much of the field we've still got left to do. Quite a bit, I think, is the answer. About probably maybe halfway through. We've got a fair bit more to go. Of course, the main reason why we're having to do this contract to raise that extra cash is because we kind of deliberately wasted a little bit of money to create that really nice concrete base for our farm at the start of you know, the first episode. I wanted to have that really nice smooth texture effect rather than having just a block of concrete and bits of grass showing through where we can't quite get placeables close enough together to merge the bases together. I found it much more practical to actually just plonk placeables down, deleting them as I go to create the base first, and then go back in and start placing them where I want them to have that nice smooth single piece of concrete as a base. It looks a lot nicer. It's just an expensive way of doing things, because you know, if you place down 3 sheds and then delete those 3 sheds, you're paying for you're only getting 1.5 sheds money, you know, 1.5 sheds worth of money back for the 3 that you bought. You know, you lose 50% of each of them. So depending on the size of the sheds, it can get very expensive to do that. That's why I was deliberately trying to find just the cheap ones rather than sticking down a farmhouse and deleting the farmhouse. I can easily afford to lose half of a $22,000 shed. I can't easily afford to lose half of a $350,000 farmhouse. That is a little bit too expensive, too steep of a loss just for a nice pretty concrete you know, base to our farm. And if we hadn't done that, if we just plonked things straight down, we would have that extra cash. We wouldn't need to be doing this job right now to be able to buy another tractor, or at the very least we could be looking at a much more powerful option than our budget is currently constraining us to. It is what it is, but we are getting a nice bit of ploughing done while we are, you know, doing these contracts and earning a bit of cash. So it's got its drawbacks the way we've gone about it, but it's also kind of balancing out a little bit with positives at the same time. You know, it's not kind of time wasted if we have a worker busy ploughing fields that need to be ploughed. We're not ploughing for the sake of it. They do physically need that to get that extra 15% back on our first yield. So our truck is almost full. Just got a couple of thousand litres of capacity left. What's going to empty first, the truck or the combine? Well, we just about managed to empty the combine, but there's no way we can fit another unload or 2 or 3 in there. So let's go take our first delivery over to where it needs to go. I'm just looking to see where's the best way out here. Let's just get onto the road, I think. Let's get some lights on now that it's starting to get a bit dark. And we could do some beacons on as well. And we'll indicate as well, because we are turning. The headlights are really, really bright, I've found, in comparison to Farming Sim 17. They are very bright white, whereas they were not quite so sharp last time out. And I think they kind of need to be as well, given how the lighting engine has changed the way the shadows start to form, and how it gets a lot darker around the vehicles as it gets, you know, later and later into the day. You do kind of need that extra brightness, and it almost feels like they have a wider cone of light as well, although that might just be me. There's that starting area that we decided not to go with. And where are we actually going? I can't remember the name of the sell point now. I'm looking at the little glowing or flashing green circle in the bottom left corner of my mini-map. That's kind of giving us an indication of the direction we need to go. There you can see how bright the lights are on the traffic there. Very bright indeed. Let's turn off down here. I get the feeling we need this to swoop around. Oh, is this... It's not taking us up the mountain, is it? To the hotel? No, it can't be. It's not a sell point up there. And not a proper one in the traditional sense. Got a little radio tower, I think, up there. Up on that little hill there. Follow this round. It's a very pretty map to drive on, Felsbrunn. Some very, very nice little mountain roads. The road running down from our farm on the left. So if we pull out from our farm and go left along the top and then follow that windy road all the way down towards Railroad Silo East, that's all downhill and it's really, really fun to drive. Oh, we've just gone past the sell point. Ah, there it is. It's a train sell point. We should have road access. I'm just going to avoid taking out the sign this time if I can. There we go. And you can see the moon is coming up now. The sun is setting just over there, just over the hills, look. And we have the moon rising up just there. That's kind of cool to see them both on the screen at the same time. Albeit you have to pan around a little bit. So, let's pull in here. I'm wondering if I actually have to access this by rail. I don't know if I can actually drive down here. Ah, there is a sell point there, so we just kind of need to try and turn around a bit. So it's just as well there is no time, component added to contracts now. Oh, just managed to turn without hitting anything there. I'm starting to get to grips with a new sort of reduced steering as well, and I have to say I actually quite like it now that I'm getting used to it. There we go. And there is the cell box that we need to deliver this into. Oh, there is an access road on that side. It's quite steep. So let's unload the barley here. This should give us a nice little boost on our contract rating. We're currently at 64%. Let's see where we are when this finishes delivering. Is it going to update in real time? Or when the trailer finishes tipping? One thing you'll notice, you may not have noticed it straight away, but one thing you will find is that as you're doing work out in the field and you press the start button, the options button to open up your menu system like this, everything in the background carries on. You can actually see there we've got a car moving through in the background, and you can see our truck is still there. It's still unloading. But if you're in cruise control, for example, you're driving on a field, you're harvesting, and you hit cruise control, and you hit start, you will keep driving in cruise control. It won't just shut your engine off like it did before, or stop your worker. And there you go, so we've got to jump to 77% with that grain delivery. So you do need to be careful. Going into the menus like that is not the kind of instant stop that it used to be. So if you're ploughing and you've got create fields on, be very, very careful because you could easily end up just cruise controlling straight across the area that you're working on into another area, maybe even another field, and just carry on ploughing and ploughing and ploughing without even realizing it. So do be careful and be mindful of what you're doing when you press the options button. You can see the interior lighting a little bit clearer now that it's getting into night time. It's getting a bit later and a bit darker. You can see what I mean as well with that light source changing. You see how the road suddenly got really dark as we went around the corner. You know, different angles all of a sudden really quite dramatically changes, you know, the way the shadows fall on the road, and it can be a very interesting experience trying to navigate your way around at night on this, you know, in this game now. You can see the beacons look really good at night as well. It's a shame they're not reflective. I know I keep going on about it from time to time, but you know, it would have been nice. But I do like the way the road really does seem to pick up those lights now, both on brakes and indicators and just rear lights in general. It's a nice kind of visual look. That kind of glow like that, I really do like that as a look. Very impressive. We could have actually turned down there, but never mind. We'll run along the side of field 11 here, then cut across onto 12. There we go. And there's the moon. The moon is itself a source of light as well. It's not just the sun. You know, the moon also acts as a light source. So it'll be interesting to see how the modders react to that when they start doing their lighting and stuff. And here you can see just how those lights do look so much sharper. They really do. On Farming Sim 19, they look so clear and sharp and crisp. They really do pick out ever so nicely. A little bit of flare around them as well. Very, very impressed. Right, let's... Woo. Well, yeah, we just got a sudden change in lighting there, didn't we? Let's really throw these lights on. It's now, what, 8:05, and you can see we can hardly see a thing now. Incredibly reliant on our working lights. This is going to make working through the night a real challenge when we need to get it done. And you know what, I think that's probably a good thing. Just wobbled a little bit, just missed a thin strip. Right, so I'm going to carry on working away on this, and once it's done, I will see you and head back to the farm, where tomorrow we will be picking out our new second tractor. I put the beacons on because I kind of feel a little bit like a plane at the moment with those lights on the ends of my header. It almost looks like you know, the lights you would see on a plane, you know, on the wings. So I kind of put my beacons on to represent flying lights. It's kind of strange, but one thing I also noticed while I was messing around with the lights is that we actually have 4 stages of lights on the Combine now, or at least on this one anyway. So if I turn the lights off, you've got stage 1, which is just your front lights. Stage 2, which then adds in your rear lights. Stage 3 goes full bright on the front. Stage 4 goes full bright on the rear as well. So we now have, you know, 4 stages of lights. I just literally just noticed that just a moment ago, trying to cycle through the lights and wondering why I was having to press the button more times than I should to get back through to turning the lights off again. So yeah, an extra stage of lights there. That's kind of cool. I wonder what other vehicles will have little light surprises like that. I thought it'd be quite nice to deliver from the opposite direction this time, so you can see we're kind of driving through the town. I haven't seen this at night yet, and it actually looks really nice. Really pretty. I do like this little town. Might have to spend a bit more time down here at night one of these days and kind of experiment with it a bit more. But this is the last of the barley off the field, so this will give us a completed contract and a little bit of extra cash. Then we can go back to the farmhouse, see how our Blue Power T6 is getting on, maybe just call it a day for the evening, get a bit of sleep, and then tomorrow we can really start attacking our fields, get some seed in the ground, get some lime on one of the fields, and make some progress on our own stuff rather than working for other farmers. There we go, contract on field 12 is finished. We've got an extra 2 grand for harvest income. That's quite nice. So let's go to the contract page and complete the contract. And there we go. Now being offered the chance to fertilise that field if we want for an extra 8 grand. No, we've done enough, I think. So what is our progress on this field? A little over half. Just a little over half. Not much, but that's not too bad. And there's our farmhouse all lit up in the distance. So very nice. We have 104,950. That's quite nice. Let's do the shopping now, actually, while we have a little bit of time left before we hit the sack for the night. So we have the case. Now, I was kind of hoping to save that for maybe Ravenport. American tractor on an American map would have made sense. We could go for another T6. We've just about got enough for a baseline model, but that's only 125 horsepower. I think that's probably going to be our best bet. If we go for a medium. I do still really kind of want to get this, though. This will take us up to 150 horsepower. That'll cost us 93.5 plus any changes I make to wheel options as well. What are the wheel options? What do we have? Standard, wides, narrows, rear twins, rear narrows, full twins, and standard. So plenty of options. Would make that very versatile. Just not the greatest power at 150 horsepower. About 30 short of what we really ideally need. It's not quite got the power, has it, really? Let's see. We've got the Agro Star, the new mod that's been added in. That's only 143. I don't think we can upgrade the engine on that. No, we can't. That's a cracking little tractor. I really enjoyed that on both 15 and 17. Those little Deutzfahrt Agros. I think it's going to have to be this. Baseline power of 170. We can even tweak that if we have the spare cash, which at the moment we don't. 98,000. That leaves us 6,000 and change. Yeah, okay, let's buy one of these. Okay, we can always get rid of it later, I suppose. And we need some lime ready for tomorrow. So let's go into our tools. We want to go to fertilizer technology, and we're only doing one field. I don't know whether a 9,000 litre tank is going to be enough, though. Right, if I put a small extension on to go to 11. Yeah, I can afford that. Doesn't really need a cover. Spreading discs, swap for the 6 metre unit. I can still afford that. Okay, there we go. So this is what we're going to use to spread the lime on the field. I'm going to put these extenders on there so we can try and get it done a little bit quicker. And any lime that we have left over, we can fill up, or we can drop back into a pallet when we return this back to the store. So we're just going to lease this. There we go. And if I go to, you know what? Just realised. I've kind of screwed up a little bit here. We don't need... yeah, we don't really need this. I'm going to try and get my money back on this as much as I can anyway. We'll go for the Fent after all. Yeah, a little bit silly. Kind of went for something that, in the end, isn't actually all that necessary. Let's see. Sell. I'll lose a little bit of cash. Actually, I'll lose about 10 grand. Ouch. So 91,000. Please tell me I've got enough now to actually get the one I want. With the engine I want. I don't think I do. No, I don't. Alright, well, we'll buy a standard Fendt Favorite. We can always uprate the engine later. Let's get some wides on there. We'll buy that. There we go. Muppet. Right. Dear oh dear oh dear. All that work for extra cash, and then we kind of wasted it. I do actually really like these new Fendts. Let's get some lights on so we can see what we're doing. No reverse lights. That's a bit odd. There we go. Get connected up to the Breedle. Do we have beacons on this? I think we do. Yes, we do. Oh, forgot to buy the lime. Wow, what is going on tonight? We're just making all sorts of weird, crazy mistakes. To be fair, I have been up for about 24 hours and playing Farming Simulator now for about 17 hours. So, yeah, it's probably not that surprising. I'm a little bit kind of frazzled. This will be the last episode I record before I turn in tonight, so be nice and fresh tomorrow. So I need some lime. Now these are 2,000 litres per pallet, 450 euros per pallet, so they're not that expensive. But you do burn through the lime really quickly. There we go, that's 10,000 litres. And anything we do have left over, we can always, as I say, bring back. I'm just hoping that we won't necessarily need to go and actually buy more lime. I mean, if worst comes to worst, we can always stick a pallet on the back of our Mahindra and then race that back to the farm. That is very pokey at 60 miles an hour, but I highly recommend that you take your finger off the accelerator and coast around the corners, especially the sharper ones, because you will capsize and you will get stuck. Trust me, I am the voice of experience on this one. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the engine revving every time we add a pallet in. So if I back up to the last pallet, so the engine's just idling. Now you can hear it revving. It's almost like the PTO is being spun up really fast and the engine is driving the PTO. And that'll happen every time you fill something up, be it fertilizer or seed, or in this case lime. You will hear that that little noise. It's kind of cool little feature. Let's just make our way up the roads. I haven't driven past the waterfall at night, so we'll get ourselves up to the farm. Our T6 should be that little bit closer to being finished on that field. And then, now it's gone 9 o'clock, we can turn in for the night and get some rest. So, we'll do that. And then tomorrow, as I say, we'll start treating our field. So, we'll put the lime down on... I suppose we could put lime possibly on both if we have a lot left over. But as long as we get lime on field 1, that's the important thing. Because that one actually needs it. And then we can start our seeding and we can put our crops in. We'll do some oats, I think, as the first of the new crops. Just turn off down here, make our way around the mountain alongside the waterfall. And I'm not sure what we'll do on the second one. I think we'll probably do some wheat, so we can try perhaps getting a bit of straw swathing. If we're towing something, as we are at the moment, you will tend to find that you will slow down quite a lot on this road. The gradient can be a little deceptive at times, where it gets a lot steeper than you actually realise. You can see there just how steep the gradient's actually starting to look. We're down to just 8 miles an hour. as we kind of wind our way around this corner. It'll flatten out a little bit. We'll gain a little bit of speed, and then it'll get a bit more of an incline again, and we'll bleed that speed off again. And there we go, up to 9, gradually starting to accelerate. And we've got another one of these kind of switchbacks to go yet. There is the waterfall just there. And you'll hear a lot more ambient noise as well, so you might pick it up. You'll definitely pick it up out of cab. You'll hear the noise of the water on that waterfall as it smashes down on those rocks. This is what I was talking about, how Giants have added a lot more ambient noise in. They've actually released the ambient noises to PC players on the mod hub. You know, for those budding modders who want to kind of incorporate them into their maps, which is really kind of cool. Along with some of the farmhouse assets and some of the other stuff that you'll see in this map and Ravenport, which is kind of nice. And there's that speed bleed off again. We've got to go all the way along to that far side again, then loop all the way around over there again, and then start to head up. And that's when we'll be kind of approaching the farm. So it's a bit of a crawl trying to make our way up here, but we will get there. So we're finally kind of cresting the hill, making our way to the main road. Our worker is on the field over there somewhere. I'm just looking for the lights. I've got a pillar in the way so I can't see. Oh, there's our worker. Actually heading away from us, I think. Maybe heading towards us, I'm not too sure. Heading towards us. The lights take a little while before they draw in. You can see not too much of the field left to go. And there is our farm. That orange glow there is the mechanic workshop symbol that's glowing away like that. Excuse me, trying to suppress a hiccup there. And here we are. I tell you what, I really do like this little yard that we've created. Let's get some full working lights on. Just the 3 stages on this vehicle. There we go. So let's park this up in here overnight. This is just on lease, so tomorrow we'll spread and then we'll take it back, because we won't need it again for a while. Eventually we'll end up owning one of those, I think, just because our fields are going to be out of sequence, so we'll always have something that'll need a bit of spreading. But at the moment we're okay. I'm going to move the trailer as well. That's all of our kind of selection of seed fertilizer and liquid fertilizer there for our spreaders and sorry, our sprayers and our seeders. We'll move that, and then I'll park the tractors up in those 2 bays there, I think. So we have our second tractor on the farm, the Fent 500 Favorite, and unfortunately I did kind of waste 10 grand in making my decision to get this. I was swayed by the fact that I would still have ploughing that would need to be done, but it's not that much. So by the time we get around to the morning, our New Holland should be all but done. So let's dim the working lights off. Let's turn the beacon off. Back our way in. And you can actually see, look, the glow on the steering wheel of our tractor there. I really like that. The glow from the console. That's really cool. Like I said, there's lots of little things that you just kind of notice. And I turned the engine off and it automatically turned off the lights. Can I turn the lights on while I'm... No. At least on this old tractor I can't. I can't have the lights on without the engine on. That's interesting. That's different. That's very different. Let's see. Let's have a look at the landscape. There's the moon. You can see we're actually looking quite bright again now that the moon is way up in the sky. Brighter than we were earlier. And there's that road that I was telling you about that kind of winds its way down the mountain on that side. That is a joy to drive downhill. Haven't tried uphill yet. That could be interesting. So I'll let the New Holland carry on plodding away, and then come the morning we'll be ready to crack on. So we'll end this episode a little bit early, and we'll get some sleep, and I will see you with some more Felsbrunn Farm very soon.